Lesson 70. Suffixes. Hello and welcome to this lesson. Today, we are going to talk about suffixes, the endings we add to words to change their meaning or word class. Understanding suffixes will help you recognize and form new words, expand your vocabulary, and improve your reading and writing skills. So, let us get started. Common noun suffixes. First, let us look at common noun suffixes. The suffix is used for the person who does an activity. For example, writer, painter, worker, shopper, and teacher. You can use with a wide range of verbs to make them into nouns. Sometimes the suffix is written as or, but it is still pronounced the same. It is worth making a special list of these words as you meet them. For example, actor, donor, a person who donates something. Operator, sailor, and supervisor, a person whose job is to make sure others do their jobs correctly. And or are also used for things which do a particular job. For example, pencil sharpener, bottle opener, grater, projector, stapler, and coat hanger. And can contrast with each other. Means person who does something, and means person who receives or experiences the action. For example, employer and employee, sender and addressee, and payee, the person who receives a sum of money. Tien, shaun, and ion are used to form nouns from verbs. For example, complication, pollution, reduction, alteration, donation, promotion, admission, and action. Ist, a person, and ism, an activity or ideology, are used for people's politics, beliefs, and ideologies, and sometimes their profession. For example, Marxist, typist, physicist, terrorist, Buddhism, and journalism. Ist is also often used for people who play musical instruments, such as pianist, violinist, and cellist. Ness is used to make nouns from adjectives. For example, goodness, readiness, forgetfulness, happiness, sadness, and weakness. Note what happens to adjectives that end in y. Adjective suffixes. Now, let us look at adjective suffixes. Able and able with verbs mean can be done. For example, drinkable, washable, readable, forgivable, edible, can be eaten, and flexible, can be bent. Verbs. Now, let us look at a common verb suffix. I see, or eyes, which is more common in American English, forms verbs from adjectives. For example, modernize, make modern, commercialize, industrialize, and computerize. Other suffixes that can help you recognize word class. Finally, let us look at other suffixes that can help you recognize word class. Ment forms nouns. For example, excitement, enjoyment, and replacement, the act of putting someone or something in the place of someone or something else. Ity forms nouns. For example, flexibility, ability to change easily according to the situation, productivity, and scarcity. Hood forms abstract nouns, especially family terms. For example, childhood, motherhood, and brotherhood. Ship forms abstract nouns, especially status. For example, friendship, partnership, and membership. I've forms adjectives. For example, active, passive. In language, the passive is when the receiver of an action becomes the subject, like, the bank was robbed, and productive, producing a positive, large amount of something. Al can form both adjectives and nouns. For example, brutal and legal, related to or which follows the law, and as nouns, refusal and arrival. Us forms adjectives. For example, delicious, outrageous, shocking and morally unacceptable, and furious, very angry. Full forms adjectives. For example, hopeful, useful, and forgetful. Less forms adjectives meaning without. For example, useless, harmless, which cannot hurt or damage anyone or anything, and homeless. Ife forms verbs. For example, beautify, purify, and terrify, cause someone to be extremely afraid. The informal suffix ish can be added to most common adjectives, ages, and times to make them less precise. For example, 30-ish, reddish hair, and 8-ish. Language help. Adding a suffix can sometimes change the stress in a word. Be sure to check in a dictionary. For example, flexible becomes flexibility, productive becomes productivity, and piano becomes pianist. So, that is our lesson on suffixes. These word endings will help you recognize and form new words, expand your vocabulary, and improve your understanding of English word structure.